We're in a new series. Well, it's not really a series, it's just like a 1 week thing. But I want to talk to you guys about friends. How many here have friends? Raise your hand if you have friends.
No.
Eddie, keep your hand down. Anybody have just kidding. Eddie has more friends than us. But yeah, I want to talk about this idea of friendship. I remember when I was in school, I had people that I thought were my friends, but they really weren't my friends. Anybody have those kind of people where you're like, you think they're your friend,
I do.
but when everything kind of is all said and done, you realize those people suck? You guys know the people I'm talking about? Logan's one of those people, is that why? Oh, no, I don't. Oh, I thought you got released. Like, I'm one of those. All right, cool. But yeah, like, I remember I wanted to be, does anybody here want to be popular? It's okay, you can be honest. I wanted to be popular so bad. Like, that was like my goal in high school, was like, I just wanted to be popular. It never really worked out. I was kind of a nerd, actually. No one really liked me.
Except for Ashley.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that no one really liked me. People liked me, but it wasn't I wasn't as cool as I thought I was gonna be. You know, you kind of go into school thinking you're gonna be one thing, and then a series of events happens, and you don't end up being that thing sometimes. But I remember I had these friends, and I had people in my life who said they were my friends. And then when everything kind of all came down to it, when my life really kind of fell out from under me, if you will, or when everything really bad started happening, I turned to these people who said they were my friends. And I was looking for them to help me through this hard time, and no one was there. And so I had to kind of reframe myself and become something else in order to find who I was. I had to pretend, like put on this mask, if you will, in order to become the individual that I thought people wanted me to be. That I thought that instead of being the person who I actually am, I have to be someone else in order to be accepted. And so I want to talk to you guys about what friendship is and what friendship isn't. And I want to challenge you into saying, are you a good friend? Are you even a friend to anyone? Or maybe you're this person whose all your friends aren't really friends. That maybe you're surrounding yourself with a group of people who aren't good for you. And so when I was growing up, I actually grew up half of my life down south in Long Beach, and it was a really rough area. And I can tell you stories about how rough my childhood was, and we can go on and on about my sob stories. But what I will talk to you guys about is when I left Long Beach and I moved to the Central Coast, this place was a joke to me. Like, there was like no violence. Everyone had money. There was no such thing as people being poor. I felt like my family was the first poor family to ever move here. Now I realize that's not reality, but this was what my thought process was. I was moving up into this area where all the kids were white. There was no other races. Everyone spoke English. They were all cowboys and Indians, and they just had ranches. And I was like, what is this place? Like, where's all the big skyscrapers, and where's all the concrete? Dirt roads, what are those? And so I used that idea to totally change who I was. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of good friends. Everything was kind of superficial. That people were only friends with me because we kind of did the same thing. Or people were only friends with me because we dressed the same way. Or however it was. But to have a real honest conversation with someone didn't really exist. And so I reinvented myself when I moved up here. And I found myself falling into the wrong sorts of crowds. I was hanging out with a lot of violent people. I was doing a lot of things that you shouldn't do. I was going to places that you shouldn't go. I was being a type of person that you really shouldn't be. And I thought all of these people really loved me. I thought that I had a group of friends that were close to me, that were willing to go through life with me, that were willing to stand by my side even if we disagreed. People who were there for me and not against me, who were willing to build me up instead of make fun of me and tear me down. And the reality is, surrounding myself with those people, they were completely opposite of who true friends are. I didn't really feel connected with them at all. In fact, I felt like I was always an outsider looking in, trying to be part of this inside group. Does anybody ever feel like that? You can be honest. That you're kind of on the outside and you're looking at the world and everyone seems to kind of get it and you don't. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like everyone else knew the secrets of what it meant to be cool, and everyone else knew the secrets of how to get along with people, that everyone else knew the secrets on how to be popular or how to fit in, and I didn't have those skills. I decided to make for myself this alter ego, this fake me that was willing to be whatever you needed me to be so that I could fit in with you. That I could become whatever needed to happen in order to be popular, to be cool, to have friends. Because really, in the deep parts of our soul, all we want is acceptance, right? I want you to like me. I want you to think I'm funny. I want you to want to hang out with me. That's all I want. That's all you really want. As cool as you think you are, and as funny and as popular as you think you are, and as against the grain, if you will, going against the norms of society that you want to be, this sort of rebel, if you will, deep down in your soul, all you want is for people to say, I like you, you're cool, and I accept you for who you are. We can pretend until we're blue in the face that we don't care what other people think. But the reality is that it's exactly what you care about. You and I both care about how we're perceived by other people. Whether that's guys, you care about what a girl thinks you look like. Girls, you care about what a guy thinks you look like. Or for some of you, you want that most popular person to like you. Or you want to be part of their clique, part of their group. You want to play sports as well as them. You want to look like they do. You want to dress like they do. You want to hang out where they hang out. Why? Because you think that that's going to give you acceptance. You think that that's going to make you complete. You think that that's going to make you the person that you've always dreamed of being. And what you'll find yourself doing is grabbing so-called friends and bringing them into your group and telling them, this is who I am, when really that's not who you are. And when the real you comes out, you'll watch all of these people leave. Because you're not who you proclaimed to be at first. And that's what happened to me. I wanted everyone to think that I was hardcore. I wanted everyone to think that I was just this tough guy who loved to fight, who hated people, who was down to do drugs and party and do all of that other stuff. That's who I was. That's who I sold the world. And I got a lot of friends doing it. And when I started to become who I really am, when I started to find the reality of what I was created to be, when I started to actually pursue the things that I wanted to pursue, when I started to run away from the things that had so defined me for so long, all of my so-called friends abandoned me. When my relationship with my parents failed, all my friends abandoned me. When I no longer wanted to party, all my friends abandoned me. When I no longer wanted to be what they wanted me to be, all of my friends abandoned me. You see, they weren't really my friends because I never let them into who I really am. And so when I started to, quote unquote, change, when I stopped being what they wanted me to be, no one was around. I found myself alone and a stranger in a very familiar world. Does that sound familiar to anyone? A life that you might be leading right now. A life of false, fake things that you're pretending to be something so that someone sitting next to you will like you. So that you will be accepted by a group of people. But you're willing to put on this fake self so the world at large will think you're cooler. And when you start becoming who you actually are supposed to be, when you begin to pursue the things that you were created to pursue, when you begin to actually grow up and mature and be the person that God wants you to be, all of these fake friendships will fall by the wayside and you will truly find who is your friend. Maybe some of you in here have made some good choices up to this point and you've surrounded yourself with people who really are like you, who are really trying to pursue what their purpose in life is, and good for you. But I would venture to say the majority of you in here have a lot of friends that aren't really friends. maybe you yourself aren't a true friend. And so I want to go through 3 definitions of what a true friend is, and it's defined by a very, very specific and very beautiful friendship relationship found in the book of 2 Samuel. About a guy named David and his best friend, Jonathan. And there's this thing that happens between the two of them, and I'm going to tell you about this story very quickly about what true friendship is. And I want you guys to check out this first verse. And to preempt the story, David has just killed Goliath. You guys familiar with this story? David, puny little guy, 5'5" maybe. Yeah, okay, yeah. DJ's height, regular 5'5", 5'6" kid, 16 years old, with a rock and a sling, kills a 7-foot beast. 7'2", they think. Guy was giant, bigger than Alfredo. Alfredo looks like that. Alfredo looks small compared to Goliath. And this kid kills him, takes a sword and chops off his head. And is carrying Goliath's head into camp like a trophy. And he's walking through the Israelite camp, and this happens. And it says that David is talking with King Saul, and he's holding the head of Goliath, and he throws it at the feet of Saul, and he says, "Here is your mighty champion who has been just raising hell for you and the Israelite people." And Saul's son Jonathan, who is the prince, who's next in line for the kingdom, says this. And he goes and he takes off the robe he wore and gave it to David. And also his armor, sword, bow, and belt, symbolically transferring to David his right to ascend the throne. You see, Jonathan was so impressed by who David was. Jonathan was so in tune with the person of David that what he wanted to be was like him. Jonathan realized this individual is from God. This individual is pursuing what his purpose in life is. And Jonathan says, "I don't even want to be king because this guy is way more worthy than I am." You see, a true friend is willing to give. If you're not willing to give up something that is most precious to you, to the person sitting next to you that you're claiming is your friend, then you're probably not as true a friend as you should be. If the people in your life that are claiming to be your best friends are not willing to give you anything, whether it's their stuff or their time or their energy, they're probably not your friends. A true friend is willing to give. Jonathan gave up his right to be king, to own everything, to be the most powerful man in all of Israel. Jonathan says, "I don't even want it because this man David really is the one who deserves it." True friendship is sacrificial. Jesus even says that there's no greater evidence of a true friend unless that true friend is willing to die for someone. Now, I'm not saying go out and jump in from a bus so your best friend doesn't get hit. What I'm saying is, when you come to that point, are you willing to give up everything for this person that you claim to love as your friend? Friendship supersedes what people look like and what they're into and hobbies and all this. But what friendship really is love. Can you turn off the mains for me, please? Friendship is love. Now, whether you define it as such, whether you call it as such, I know it's harder for some guys to grasp the idea at your guys' age that you actually love this kid sitting next to you. But the reality of true friendship is just that. My friendship with my friends, I love Chad, not because he's my cousin, but because he's my friend. I love Alfredo because he's my friend. I've spoken into his life. I've been through some stuff with him. He's been through some stuff with me. He knows about my life. I know about his life. We're kind of doing the same thing. I love him. Do I love him as much as I love my wife? No. Sure. Sorry. But I love him. Do I love him the same way that I love my wife? No. But I love him. And so this idea of what friendship actually is, a giving and taking, if you will. Remember, the first part, this first aspect of what a true friend is, it's someone who's willing to give. If you're willing to give nothing, then you're probably not a good friend. If all you do is take, then you're probably not a good friend. If all you're looking for is situations in order to make yourself look better, act better, seem better, then you're probably not a good friend. I want to go on in this relationship, if you will. The next one is, a friend always has your back. A friend is not there to talk crap behind you. A friend is not there to talk crap to you. A friend is someone who is there for you always. Always. My father wants you dead. This is Jonathan speaking to David. My father wants you dead. Watch out tomorrow morning. Think of a safe place to hide that nobody knows about. You see, God has put Saul in this unique situation in which Saul wants to kill David. Saul really believes that David is out to steal his throne. And the reality is that David could really care less about the throne of Israel. What David wants is to glorify God. But Saul gets this weird, twisted idea in his head, and he becomes almost obsessed with this idea that David is out to get him. And so Saul goes to his son Jonathan, not knowing that they're best friends, and he's like, hey, Jonathan, I'm going to kill this guy David, because this guy David is trying to steal your throne. And Jonathan goes, why would you kill him? And Saul looks at him and goes, don't you realize that if he stays alive, he is going to destroy everything that I've worked so hard in trying to give you, son? And so Jonathan is going not only behind his own father's back, but he's risking everything to give to David life back to him. You see, a true friend has your back always. A true friend is willing to look stupid for you. A true friend is willing to stick up for you when no one else will. A true friend is the one that's there when everyone else seems to be gone. A true friend doesn't mock you. A true friend doesn't bully you. A true friend is there when everyone else isn't. A true friend is there to say, no matter what, Morgan, I'm here for you. A true friend isn't the person that leaves you high and dry when everything around you crumbles. You see, Jonathan had a choice to make. He could just say that he was a friend, and he could just hang out with David every once in a while and just tell David what he wanted to hear, and then knowing that his father was going to kill him, kind of stand back and say, yeah, this guy could get in my way of being very popular. This guy could really get in my way of having all of my dreams come true. Because how many people in this room wouldn't want to be rich and famous? It's the American dream, right? We all want to be rich so we don't have to work. Famous because you get paid for doing nothing, essentially. And that's really where Jonathan's at. He's on the brink of becoming rich and famous, where he doesn't have to work, he doesn't have to do anything. He's the king of these people who they take care of themselves and they just give him money as a tax. And Jonathan says, I'm willing to give up all of that because I have a friend whose life is on the line. I want you to evaluate who you're with. I want you to ask yourself, am I a true friend? And are my friends really there for me? Are they really who they say they are? Because believe me, I know the heartache whenever your friends leave you. I know the heartache when people don't quite understand why you're doing what you're doing. I know what it means to have everything gone. Because people don't quite understand you. Because they don't know who you truly are. I know what it's like to put on a face, to pretend you're one thing when you're really not. And when the mask comes off, no one knows who you are. I know what that's like. And I want you guys to know what it means to have a friend. I want you to know what it means to be a friend. I want you to desire in your heart the things of God. I want you to desire to love someone else greater than you love yourself. I want you to have a true relationship, not only with God, but with people. Not superficialities. Not because of circumstances. Not because you happen to go to the same school or on the same bus route. But because you actually care about them. I want to wrap up with this idea here. As a friend will stick up for you. And so once again, Saul is having a conversation with his son Jonathan. And he's telling him, I don't care how many times you beg and plead, Jonathan. I'm going to kill David. David means nothing to me. If anything, he's hindering us from being great. For Saul, it's all about popularity. For Saul, it's all about himself. For Saul, it's about self-preservation. He wants to remain in the status that he's given. Some of you in here are really popular. Good for you. Some of you, everyone considers you're the cool kid. Awesome. But some of you in here are the cool kid, and you're willing to throw anyone else under the bus to stay cool. Some of you in here are the rebels. Some of you in here are the jocks. Some of you in here are the drama nerds. And you're willing to keep your status by throwing other people under the bus because you want to maintain. Some of you are willing to look the other way when things happen. Some of you are willing to watch other people get made fun of and beat down on. Because you don't want to be the one in their position. You don't want to be mocked. And so you just stay quiet. You don't want to be made fun of, so you allow someone else to make fun of another person. You don't stick up for them. There's this really big movement on not bullying, but I think the worst part of bullying isn't the people who are actually doing the bullying. It's those who are sitting back watching everyone else be bullied. Because you're too afraid to stand up for what is right, because you're afraid that you're going to be in that position. We're all willing to sign the online petitions and change our profile status pictures to stop the bullying, but are we really willing to actually stop it? Am I really willing to be a friend, or am I just hopping on the bandwagon of what is cool now, and not bullying just happens to be cool? Or do I really want to stop bullying because it breaks people? You see, a true friend is willing to stick up for you. And that doesn't even mean you actually have to be a friend to them in the sense where you hang out. I can be a friend to Audrey by sticking up for her when I hear other people talking behind her back. Now, Audrey may never know that. Audrey may not even consider us friends. I'm her pastor, so she probably doesn't. But I can still stick up for her and be a true friend to her by not allowing people to tear her down. This is the situation that's happening. Except on an extreme level where Abby is saying, Eric, I'm going to kill Audrey. I don't know why I chose you. You just look very menacing a little bit. And I'm like, no, you can't kill her because she's really cool. I don't know, just don't kill her. That's kind of like what's happening right here. Saul's telling his son, dude, I'm going to kill your best friend. And Jonathan says this, why should David be put to death? What offense has he committed? You see, it's easy to just go with the social norms and say, oh yeah, go ahead and do it. Just leave me out of it. I don't want to know. Just don't tell me when it's going to happen. I don't want to get beat up. It's easy to say, I don't really want to get involved, and so I'm going to kind of stay out of this situation. But see, David and Jonathan were actual friends. Not Facebook friends. How many people in here have over 1,000 friends on Facebook? Raise your hand. Chad, you probably do. All three of you probably do. Because here's the deal. We don't really care who our friends are. We just want to have the status of having a ton of friends. I know people like Chad. Chad has people who he's friends with on Facebook. He doesn't even know them. They just friend request him because he's handsome. And so people friend request, oh, this guy's good looking. And he's like, yeah, I accept a friend. Yeah, I'll write on their wall, hey, I'm glad we're friends. Because it's a social thing. It's like having Twitter followers. We all want 30 million Twitter followers because it makes us feel better about ourselves. I want you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want you all to follow me on Instagram. Because why? It makes me feel better at the end of the day about how many followers I have. None of those things are actual relationships, though. Realize this. The social networking is a cool tool to connect with people and say, yeah, Jack had a really good golf tournament. And yeah, Alfredo has his own hashtag. Yeah. And yeah, Bree loves beauty. Awesome.
Just straight up really.
I love it. But none of those things are real. What is real is this. When the rubber meets the road and the world around you is crumbling, When your family is dying, when your friends leave you, when everything is happening and you're not passing any of your classes, and your team just lost the finals, and you're failing everything, and you're saying, who around me will help? It's these people who will be there. Those are your friends. It's not writing something as a status report, hoping that people will like and share. My favorite Facebook thing is the one where it's like, hey, like this status. What is it? Like, you like it and then I'll rate you. You're pretty famous on this one. Eddie's pretty famous. He used to do it a lot. Isn't that what you do? You like put something out and I'll rate you, or like, hey, like it and I'll send you a private message about how much you mean to me. And why do we do it? Because we want our posts to go viral. Why do you have those cute little kids holding the sign that says, if I get 1 million likes, my daddy's going to take me to Disneyland? Because they want to go viral. See, what happened was mommy and daddy wants their kid to be famous, and they just made a cardboard sign and said, here, hold this, I'm going to take a photo, and we're going to go viral. Will I take you to Disneyland? Probably not, but everyone's going to know your face. Because in our society, we've been told that in order to be cool, we have to be Insta-famous. We have to be viral. And that means that you have a lot of friends. But what we've been doing is we've been joking and we've been kidding ourselves into what actual relationships are. You see, a real friend is willing to get down and dirty in the muck and the disgustingness of life with you. When everyone leaves you, and when your family is broken, and when your parents get divorced, and whenever your boyfriend breaks up with you, and you feel ugly that day, and whenever everything wrong is happening to you, and you're failing all your classes, it's your friend who's going to come and say, it's okay, I still love you. Do you need to talk about it? When Jack misses the final putt, and he's hating life, and he breaks his club over his knee, it's his true friend that's going to say, hey, Jack, I know you're not any good, but it's enough. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He just said it. That's not going to happen. I never miss a final putt. But the reality is this. True friends do life with you. They don't comment on your statuses necessarily. They don't like your posts. They don't share your videos. They don't double tap on your photo to make the little heart pop up. What they do is they text you and say, hey, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. What they do, yeah, because you're 12. That's why it's weird. But the reality is when your life goes to crap and you have no friends, you're going to wish someone would just text you and say, hey, dude, I know what you're going through. Because trust me, when my son was dying in the hospital, and my friend texted me and said, hey, just want to know that I love you, and I want you to know I'm thinking about you and praying for you, I didn't think it was gay. I said, wow, this guy actually cares about my life. When the love of your life breaks up with you, and you think the world is ending, and someone texts you and says, it's okay, Ian, I know what it means to have been broken up with, you're not going to think it's gay. You're going to be like, wow, someone actually feels what I'm going through. You see, the reality is it doesn't matter what the world tells you. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter about any of those things. A true friend is there when everything else isn't. David and Jonathan had a true friendship where the world around them could fall and crumble and be burned. This thing that's happening is much greater than us just goofing off and going to the movies or going to a party or whatever you do. But you actually mean something to me. You were not designed to live in this world with superficial relationships. It is why you keep struggling and keep striving to get more and more. It's why we define ourselves by these social networks. It's why we define ourselves by how many girlfriends or boyfriends we can have. It's why our world is struggling and we're broken sexually, because we think all of these things are going to build us up. And we keep reaching and we keep reaching and we keep falling short, because what we really need is an actual relationship. It's why girls hate boys sometimes. And it's why boys hate girls sometimes. Because they can't fully understand you. It's why my best friend from when I was a senior in high school is still my best friend, even though he thinks God is a joke. That he thinks the whole thing that I believe in doesn't make sense. That the only thing that we really have in common is the fact that I've gone through life with him. Through thick and thin. He's been there for me and I've been there for him. It's why it works. It doesn't matter what my belief system is. It doesn't matter what his belief system is. It's this. The guy loves me. He's my best friend. And when I go broke, I can always ask him for money because he makes a lot of it. And I knew him when he was poor, so it's okay. He knows I'm not friends with him for the money. You see, in your soul, this piece of you that's begging you to do something, this piece that wants you to have things, this thing inside of you that says, reach out and grab hold of relationships is inside of you, that thing can only be fulfilled with an actual friendship. Not with stuff. Not with status updates. Not with the funniest Vine videos of 2013. Although some of them are funny. Those things you'll always want more and more and more. Not because they're so funny, because they can't fulfill you. Does that mean you can't watch them? No, watch them, have fun, enjoy it, they're hilarious. But when all is said and done, a Vine video will not make you feel better at the end of the day. It won't help you sleep at night. It won't let you grow deeper. Only an actual human being who thinks the way you think, who cares about what you care about, who's into the same stuff that you're into, not because it's fake and processed and made up, but because you've actually lived life together. I want you guys to bow your heads, please.